Hello brother, what's up? So for you to truly and fully overcome pornography, for you to transcend it completely, you've got to do some pretty deep work on yourself. For me, what I've realized is that you can't just like quit it and then expect to be free of it. You've actually got to stop seeing it in the world. So in other words, you've got to stop projecting it. If you don't think about it, you don't see it in the world. So what we're doing is we're consciously deciding to let it go within, so that when we look outwards, we don't see it in the world. We don't project, because all that's happening really, man, is the stuff that's within us, we're just projecting outward and we're seeing it in the world. For example, you see a really hot chick, you see a beautiful woman, and maybe you project some sort of porn star thing onto her because that was within you. And so the work that you've got to do, man, is this. You've got to mentally detach from the idea of pornography, even the memory of it, so that when you look at that person, your projection is pure. You're not projecting any PMO, you're not projecting any lust. I mean, you're a human being, you might project some of that sex stuff onto her, but not the kind of lustful, like low consciousness PMO stuff. The stuff that is just not even there until you absorb it in some messed up way. You just want to be able to have a pure relationship with women or whoever you're attracted to. And so that's what we're doing here. We're purifying ourselves. So basically, man, where this gets really practical for us is this. It's deciding to stop seeing it as a possibility of something that we will do. Because think about it, man, you only actually entertain the idea of doing it when you're actually thinking about doing it, right? It's all in your mind, it's all in what you're imagining. And so the absolute gold dust here, man, the root solution, just a true answer as to how you overcome this stuff, man, and fully transcend it is this. I've written it down. You stop thinking about it as an idea in your mind. This is everything. When you stop thinking about it as an idea in your mind, dude, it just doesn't even exist for you. It just doesn't, you just don't see it because you're not projecting it, right? It's all about what we're projecting. And it comes down to the core here of, are you thinking about it as an idea in your mind? Are you keeping it alive within you? Now, the deeper reason this all is, man, is because your mind is the source of your reality. What you think basically is true. The stuff that you allow your mind to think, the thoughts that you allow yourself to have, this is what appears in your reality, man. Right? So it's very important that we get this down. When I was thoroughly addicted to PMO, man, what I would do is if I saw someone having a bad day, I would project onto them, oh man, they probably had a relapse. Oh man, they probably have a PMO addiction. It's just pure projection, dude. Essentially, man, if PMO is in your life, you keep it alive by thinking about it, because the only way it exists is through your thoughts. If you don't think about it, you don't see it in the world. Notice, again, if you didn't have the thought, I can go and use PMO, you wouldn't do it. What you want to create for yourself, man, is you want to create an experience where you basically end up forgetting about PMO altogether. And you can have this for, weeks and months and even years, dude, where you just don't even think about it. And, if you've been PMO addicted in the past, you know that the way that it comes back and haunts you is when you start thinking about it. You can be fine, and then you can suddenly be having thoughts about PMO, and then you can suddenly now go and relapse because you had those thoughts about PMO. The goal here is to free your mind up. It's to purify yourself and free your mind up, right? So when you have a really clear mind and you're just, not thinking about some bullshit, that's what we want to be creating. And the way that we create that is basically, man, by not choosing to have these thoughts. It means you want to create a reality where you are not creating PMO in your mind. When you don't create PMO in your mind, you don't take certain actions. You don't see it and project it onto people. You don't project it onto small things that could lead you to a relapse, for example. Again, man, what we're really doing is we're trying to create an entire transformation. And this transformation happens when we sort of revamp your entire mind. What you want to do is you want to start doing new things. You want to start creating new behaviors. You just want to start filling up your life and your mind with different stuff. Because what's interesting is it will take up space within you. And it's weird, but you'll kind of just edge out PMO. And it sounds crazy and like I'm oversimplifying it, but I'm very serious when I say the way that you stop pornography addiction, or the way that you stop that being in your life, is you stop creating it for yourself. On a very deep, meta level, You are the creator of your experience. You are the creator of your reality. And I know people say that a lot, man, but it's very, very true. When you've taken PMO, when you consume PMO, you reinforce it as a thing that exists for you in your reality. But because you have conscious control of what is in your reality, what you want to be doing with this kind of like advanced stage of NoFap is you actually want to consciously decide that this thing is no longer part of you. You want to shift. You want to free up your experience. You want to stop putting energy towards sexual thoughts, especially like pornographic sexual thoughts, because you know you're a human being, man. You're going to have some kind of thoughts that may be sexual, but there's like a distinct flavor to the pornographic thoughts which aren't really healthy or natural, and they don't really feel good at all, man. They're kind of just fantasy based. And what is so awesome, man, is you do begin to shift. So you know you're doing things and you're noticing, I haven't thought about that stuff for a while. I haven't thought about PMO for a while. That's interesting. Right? And you do get to a point where it's not in your reality at all. So how it feels for me these days is kind of like a distant memory. It's like a thing that I used to do, but it's very much my past. And that's because on an identity level, what I've done is I've decided, yeah, that's not for me anymore. I used to do that. That used to be a big thing for me, but it's not really a thing for me anymore. And nowadays, if a thought comes up, you know, very quickly I'm like, man, you know, it's just not for me. I've just got to let that one go. What happens over time is because you're not creating it, because you're not projecting it into the world that you see, your reality, it's pure, it's clean. It's just like, it's got other stuff, you know, you'll project other things, but it doesn't have the PMO projection. You don't see PMO in the world. You don't think of PMO. You don't look at someone and think, yeah, man, he probably uses PMO. It's funny actually, man, because a few days ago I was on the train and I was going outside of London, and I heard these like group of dudes, kind of like early 30s, drinking alcohol, and they were just kind of like messing around and stuff. And they would, you know, one of them was saying, "Oh man, you got to use incognito, man." You know, he's talking about how that is the way, and he was saying it as if like no one knew about it, which was interesting. But anyway, man, the reason I share this, man, is because when I heard them speaking about how to have a good wank or how to effectively have a wank without getting caught, I learned, or I realized, oh man, I haven't thought like that in ages. I kind of felt foreign, even though that, you know, on a cultural level, that's like super relatable for like UK lads and stuff like that. But I really didn't relate to it. And I thought, wow, those guys are talking about that thing. It didn't really speak to me. It was like, yeah, you know, maybe when I was a bit younger and immature, I'd do that kind of thing. But it didn't really like land. And even like listening to them, I wasn't really too intrigued about what they were saying. If I was like a massive PMO addict, I'd be like, listen, man, oh my God, they know, you know, they do it too. They know, you know, they know about it. I wasn't really too fussed, man. I was kind of like, oh man, that's actually not tragic, but I was a bit like, oh man, you know, I'm sorry that you have to go through that. So the long-term goal is basically forget about it. Shift your identity such that you don't really relate to PMO. You don't think about it. If you hear some guy speaking about it, cool, but that's not really you anymore. Start to fill up your reality with different things, new things, cool things, conscious things, if you want to be a conscious person. So some final insights: stop thinking about it. Stop imagining it. Stop creating it. Every time your mind goes there, you create it. You reinforce it. You don't want PMO to even be an idea in your mind. You don't want it to be something that your mind identifies with, and really you just don't want to like put energy into the thought so that you have visualizations or you have ideas or you have images in the mind. You don't actually ever want to be visualizing it, because every time you visualize it, it makes it stronger. What you want to do is, if those thoughts arise, man, is you want to see them and you want to let them pass. But you do not want to be sitting there almost mentally masturbating, because it makes the entire thing as a construct in your mind stronger. So to conclude, man, really become aware that your mind is so, so powerful. And if you put PMO in your mind, it will exist in the world. But if you purify your mind and you purify your entire self and being, PMO won't be existing in the world for you. It won't exist in the universe. It won't exist out there because you're not projecting it. So some final thoughts. You're not going to get much more content on NoFap on this channel. You're not going to see much more of that. I've got like one more video planned, which is a pretty big, significant one. But I'm at the point where I just don't want to be creating that. And I realize that in me creating NoFap content, do I solidify the idea of NoFap in your mind? The person who's free of PMO doesn't really like think of NoFap that much. They're not on the NoFap path. They don't do no PMO. They're just being. They're just free, right? So I don't want to feed you any PMO related stuff. I don't want to feed you any NoFap stuff. I'm just making this video because I need to get this out. However, going forward, man, we're not going to be covering NoFap pretty much at all. Final thing is this, man. Not many people go all the way with this. Not many people go all the way and completely purify and transcend PMO. It's really normal to, still have it there in some capacity. I know a lot of people do. If you're anything like me, you just have to, you have to go all the way. You have to fully transcend it. And you have to do this kind of work on yourself so that it's not there for you. It doesn't exist. Okay, man. Lots of love, brother. Take care and peace.